Good morning. Firstly, I need to apologise for not being with you today. The Hunts Post has dragged me off elsewhere, but I still wanted to make a contribution towards Huntingdonshire Matters today. And I was asked by HDC to put forward the voice of the people. So what I've done is trawled through the letters which I've received over the past year, and to have a look at the issues which have been most significant in our readers' minds, and to find those letters which show where the main concerns are about the future of Huntingdonshire. Now, the Hunts Post receives roughly around 1,300 letters which we publish each year. There are others which we don't publish, but out of those ones there were some actually really interesting issues which we've covered over the past year, not only on our letters pages but on our news pages. One area which I know is of interest to Huntingdonshire Matters is the issues surrounding older people. And I found a letter which I thought was really quite interesting in regards to that, as one of our correspondents wrote to us about the actual issue of where they would be cared for and where they will live in the future, and their concerns about that. Now, they wrote, "I live on my own and I tend to think about homes for older people at the moment. As a soon-to-be pensioner, I would have liked to live somewhere where I could talk to someone if I wanted to, as it's lonely living on your own. What I should have liked to see is space in the town centres used for homes for older people who have retired from work and have no family around them. I think that if homes could be put in the town centre, that people could live there in their own homes and still be independent. They would still be able to get shopping and walk around the town and meet up with people. Being in the town centre, you would not have to run a car or get expensive taxis. It's okay to build or convert fancy flats that cost a lot of money, but they also attract a service charge, and that's expensive. Like most people, I can only afford a cheap one-bed place, and if I were to sell it, it would not pay for a flat in the town, let alone the service charges. Why do planners not think about good, basic, cheap homes for pensioners so that we can stay independent for longer?" That particular extract was from someone who was living in St Neots and considering their future, but it's equally applicable to any of our market towns and indeed around the UK as well. Now, this concern about isolation is one which has also been playing itself out in other areas of concern, and one of those is public transport, specifically rural bus services. There's a feeling in Huntingdonshire that the services in the villages and in some of the market towns, the services have actually gone worse since the opening of the guided bus. Commercially, it makes sense for the bus operators in this area to run the guided bus if they've got the passenger numbers, but with subsidies for rural bus services being withdrawn, there's a feeling that our villages are being isolated, and that situation is only going to get worse in the future. Correspondents actually sort of talk about bus services, both rural ones linking the villages to St Neots and Huntingdon, and also shuttles within our market towns are a lifeline to many. The elderly come first to mind, but the loss also hits young and disabled people who cannot drive, and those who cannot afford to own a car. In Eton Soken and Amesbury, the recent changes have left stops unserved, indeed whole estates unserved, and many people isolated, not just able to access services and shops, but denied the basic right to get out and about. And another Hunts Post reader wrote, the negative changes to stagecoach bus services, which have come out of the woodwork in recent weeks, show that stagecoach will no longer serve the needs of those dependent on bus services in their daily lives in Cambridgeshire. This is particularly hard on those living in smaller towns such as St Ives and also in the villages. Now to an old favourite of journalists, correspondents and everyone, roads. The A14 upgrade, I won't go into the arguments are there for and against toll roads. Everything has been well documented. One of the issues which keeps cropping up is actually the state of the roads away from the A14 and the potholes, particularly. With people claiming that they take longer to fix and that there's more of them, and when they are fixed they're not patched up properly. It's a temporary job and they reappear quite soon. And there's also a feeling that the utility companies are partly to blame for the state of our roads, with them digging up the roads and then not smoothing them over properly. Congestion, another major part of our life and the quality of life we get in Huntingdonshire. Aside from the A14, we still get readers bemoaning the delays on Harrison Way in St Ives. More recently as well, we've had obviously a lot of correspondence, and we've written a lot of articles about Erith and the flooding there, and I know the county council is looking at ways to do that, but that has a massive knock-on effect for thousands and thousands of people, and clogs up not only villages but also St Ives as well. From the state of the roads, the state of our high streets, this one is especially popular with users of our website leaving comments. Generally there's a negative feeling towards the high streets we have in our market towns, and the main concerns really revolve around parking charges, variety of shops, illegally parked cars, a perceived lack of investment, and a lack of control on takeaways. Now, this is one of the letters we published. There is no doubt there are too many takeaways, beauty or nail salons, hairdressers and charity shops in St Ives. We feel the planning authorities should take more proactive and significant steps to ensure empty premises are taken up by retailers the town actually needs. That's for St Ives, but the perception is no different in Huntingdon and St Neots. Ramsey fares a little better with its independent traders up there. But there's a feeling that there's no discernment exercised in the type of shop that's allowed in the town centres. The positives that come from this are that people actually care about our town centres and want them to thrive. The next few years will also get rid of some of the perceptions about investment. As we well know, there's various projects going on in St Neots and in Huntingdon. Other issues that crop up fairly regularly are about development and people not wanting wind farms, new homes built in their areas. There are various other things about cost of food, the need for a cheaper supermarket in Huntingdon. There's still ongoing concern about the removal of mental health services from the hospital, train travel costs and reliability, and there's a world of other things besides. But one area you notice I haven't mentioned is crime, because we don't actually get many letters about crime. We get phone calls about one-off issues, but crime, it seems, as Huntingdonshire Matters has found as well, isn't one of the top issues and priorities, so we're very lucky with that. We're also extremely lucky with the communities. From the correspondence I went back over for the past year, the amount of good stories and that come from that, with people raising money, supporting others, even just little things like handing in a found purse or wallet. We've run dozens and dozens of letters regarding the good, solid communities we have in this area. The most amazing letter I think I've had this year was from a homeless chap who actually wrote to me to thank Huntingdonshire residents for their generosity after they helped him raise money so we could go up and to Scotland, where he was guaranteed a bed for at least a few weeks. I've never had a letter from a homeless person who's begged here and thanked the residents, but that's the kind of place we live in. So we have issues, there are lots of things in the pipeline to deal with those, but thankfully none of them are too difficult, and we're lucky to live in the area we have. Thank you.